All right, everyone. Hello, welcome back. It is October 31st, Friday. It is Halloween, so Halloween's a dead holiday in my opinion. Is it even a holiday? Nobody took the day off. I still worked. Yeah, no big changes here. So, let's see. Today we're going to be analyzing the markets, discussing some comments Trump had about Nigeria and something to do with Niger as well, some countries in Africa, and cryptocurrency related stuff, talking about stuff that's happening for the end of this month in terms of returns, stocks versus crypto, that kind of stuff will be discussed in today's video and on today's stream, tonight's stream. And also a bit of China, a bit of Canada mixed in there, so get ready. All right, what do we got? Bitcoin's price, 109,839. Very, very close to my entry price, which is at 109,925. Very close as well to 110,000. That's basically what we're trying to hover around at this time. We did break our uptrend, so I'm going to remove this. And Bitcoin is currently in a downtrend, which I drew from yesterday, right? This is the line that we are looking for. Super trend is on the way down, as expected. It's currently at 116,173 and dropping, so it might not stop there. It might go a little lower. In my opinion, it should, because this is a little too distant for us to be looking at 116 as a resistance. Who knows? Spoiler alert, we're set to end this month in the red, right? A couple days ago, it did not look like that. It looked like we were about to end it in the green, even if it was up by like 1%, right? Well, now that's not likely the case unless tomorrow, for whatever reason, we pump 5-6%. We'll be back up in the green. It's not too far off, but, you know, it's going to suck to see October in the red. That's what a lot of people the sentiment is on crypto Twitter, at least at the moment. So, right now, I think we're just going to have to relax a bit, zoom out on the charts, and wait for Saturday, Sunday to blow over, because really today we really didn't get too much news fundamentals. Nothing really happened, nothing really changed. We're still going to be analyzing markets for potential entries after, you know, the dip that we had on Wednesday after Jerome Powell's comments, and the midnight dip after not much came of the meeting between Trump and Xi Jinping. I think it's safe to say that tomorrow, November 1st, we will not be getting the tariffs, right? That's one thing I kind of forgot to research, but based off what I'm seeing, Trump is willing to lower the tariffs, and it seems like they will be having another meeting next week between US and Chinese officials to discuss a trade deal. So I don't know why we're not pumping on the news, but that's just crypto at this point. So that's where we are at in terms of our scenario right now. Another thing that people are worried about, of course, is after Jerome Powell's comments, which have to do with, are we going to be getting another rate cut for the end of this year in December? And the odds of that have decreased after his comments of, it's not guaranteed, hold your horses. So then, you know, markets are uncertain about what he just said, and they hate uncertainty. So, well, crypto just seems to be pushed off to the side. A lot of stocks are performing well, and we'll be discussing that as well. A lot of earnings as well, very earnings heavy this week. So it seems like this week, the main focus on where investors are putting their money in has to do with like the big tech companies, the big, you know, the top companies that were having earnings specifically on this week. Meta, Microsoft, Apple, I think, don't make me name them all, but I just blurted out a bunch of random ones. I don't even remember which ones exactly. Let me get the earnings calendar. Let's see. This is not it. This is not it. That's not it. That's not it. Surely this is it. Whatever. Yeah, Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Reddit, MicroStrategy, those are pretty big. That's it? I feel like there was much more than that. Where's the actual, like, calendar thing? I guess I'm gonna have to go through, like, the beginning of this week. Visa, I see there. Amazon, I talked about. Here it is. Gosh, couldn't find this for so long. Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet. Yeah, come on. Those are pretty big. You get the point. So this kind of stole the show for this week. Amazon, Coinbase, Apple, Reddit, MicroStrategy. All these big companies, PayPal. You get the point. So that's why we didn't really see too much coming into crypto, and rather we had a dump on crypto. Which is fine. We buy those dips. We did buy the dips. I'm pretty well prepared at this point. If the dips continue, I'll just continue buying. It's not a big deal. Some have turned green finally. Some are still slightly in the red, not by much. I don't think there's anything losing more than $100. Compound is very close, but Compound was in the green. I don't know why it just dropped. Let's have a look at Compound here. Yeah, it did kind of come down a little more. I bought when it was overbought, oversold, barely oversold at this level. It was 30 RSI, and then it happened again, 28 RSI, which would have been at this candle right over here, 30th of October, 12 p.m. I missed that entry. Wasn't really focusing too much on it. I thought, you know what, I already had an entry, so what's the big point? What's the point? What's the big deal? Why should I buy more at that level? If it drops a lot more, then yeah, I'll probably, increase my exposition onto it. I liquidated a very far price, and I've mentioned we're very not likely going to see another liquidation event like the one that we saw on October 10th. Just saying. Liquidation events will still happen. Matter of fact, we did experience one Thursday, right? I think it was over 1 billion that was liquidated. So it can still happen, but it's not going to be as severe as the one that we saw. How much was that? $20 billion liquidated? It was pretty crazy. So yeah. Well, for Compound's levels over here, I really don't know exactly where. I'm going to leave it to pivot levels. We are still technically in a downtrend, so expect more movement toward the downside for now. On Bitcoin, however, I don't know. I feel like there's no real reason why we should drop lower than where we did hit a low of 106,000. It just doesn't make too much sense to me. So in that case, this could be bottom and we start rising from over here. Hopefully, we will be met with some form of a resistance soon. It all really depends at this point. It's anywhere that it could go. I want the government shutdown to end. I want those rates to get cut. We did get the rate cuts that we were expecting, but markets kind of already priced it in poorly. And, I think people are still being risk averse. They don't want to invest in the crypto market, especially after what happened October 10th. Some people are still, going to risk it. And those who hold on for long enough will be rewarded pretty well, in my opinion. I'm one of those people, and it's not copium. I do genuinely feel that, right? So we'll see. All right, moving on. Ethereum 3,850. My entry's a pretty good entry here. 3,794. I entered at this support level. We dropped to an unprecedented area over here, which is fine. But bottom, sold, top. That was also perfect. I'm going to readjust this downtrend. That's kind of what we're seeing on Ethereum right now for a downtrend. Super trend is on its way down, which should drop to maybe 4,100. It's at 4,175 and dropping. So, like I said, we're going to need more time to kind of figure out where exactly that will stabilize. Really, it's all just a waiting game at this point. Waiting for Saturday to blow over, Sunday to give us new pivot levels, and then Monday we'll start seeing some of the volatility take its action, right? It'll be a new month as well, so we'll be gladly putting this behind us. What is going on? Why is BitTensor rising 18%? I didn't even notice this. And I still don't have it. Oh my. Went from this low of 388. Could have bought. It wasn't oversold, so that was not an entry for me. It rose to 519 today and rising. It's at 510 currently. Why? What is going on with BitTensor? Halving event is happening in November. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the grayscale stuff that they've acquired a few BitTensor tokens. What's the actual reason though? Institutional gateway via ETP. ETP basically means an ETF, but in Europe, is from what I understand. The Dutch Digital Assets and Cefelo launched the Cefelo BitTensor staked Tau ETP on the Swiss exchange on October 31st. So they basically got an ETF in the Swiss bank. Is it Swiss or Dutch? Dutch. This means German, right? I don't understand. Sure, and with staking, and backed by tokens and cold storage. That's good. It lowers the barriers for institutional capital, meaning that it's more likely we could see ETFs kind of in the American side of things, hopefully. America, of course, is the bigger market, so we'll see. It's historically been restricted by custody and regulatory hurdles. Its increased buy-side demand from Europe's 1.5 trillion ETF market cap could absorb BitTensor's relatively small 5 billion market cap. So it's a big market that it just got exposition into. That's pretty good. Having driven scarcity, of course. Basically, you know, you understand what the halvings are, right? BitTensor also has those, same as Bitcoin. The first halving is expected to happen in, okay, well, there we go, misinformation provided live. December 10 to 11 is when the halving event is going to happen. I saw it was going to be in November. Which one is it? It's apparently in December. All right, cool. It's going to happen. That's all that really matters. Doesn't matter when. But in my opinion, like, this is being priced in at the current moment. After this date, I mean, don't expect BitTensor to be pumping on this date. You're going to be exit liquidity by then. So I'm not saying as well you should buy right now. I mean, we're up 20%. This is definitely not an area to buy. You'd be FOMOing in, and that would be foolish. So maybe even after that event would be the likely scenario. I'm telling you this from experience. Okay, I cannot. I need water. From what happened with Bitcoin last year. Last year we had Bitcoin's halving event, which it happened on April 8 or April something. I don't remember. And I was there live. I was looking at the countdown of the blocks being mined live. And the minute it happened, I'm like, okay, I'm going max long over here just for fun. And I did. And I got liquidated and I lost because the price started dropping. I was exit liquidity. You got to understand that these kind of stuffs, they get priced in. You don't wait until the event to happen. It's a sell the news kind of stuff. Likely, that is the likely scenario in these cases. So I wouldn't trust it too much, right? I wouldn't go max long specifically on that date. That's why people are going max long right now. Or have been, rather, because this has been known for a while now, and I've talked about it before. It's just that this specific rise is driven by this European ETF, ETP, whatever. Okay, good stuff for BitTensor. There you go, on the rise, 513. We got a resistance at basically 550, if you care. We're at overbought territory right now. If I was in BitTensor, I would be selling right here. Not financial advice, but that's just me. Yeah, I know it could continue rising, but what if it doesn't? What if that is the top? Just take the profit while it's guaranteed. That's my kind of mentality at this point. I'm done with futures market. Hyperliquid still in the box that we drew. How perfect is that? I think we're actually going to follow this to the T, staying in here for the whole week. Hyperliquid had its good rise so far, right? We hit a top of $50 with 8 cents. We have since then come down after Jerome Powell nuked the markets. We're currently at $43.92. Our lowest point today was $42.35, so we're not too far off from that. We're basically at the pivot support, right? And if we do continue dropping, I've already mentioned that $40 is an attractive price for me to re-enter into Hyperliquid. I already purchased somewhere down here, I'm sure, and sold already over here. Where did I buy? Doesn't tell me. But yeah, I've made my profits already. I know it continued rising more, but whatever. We were overbought at this area. That's my exit signal. So good for Hyperliquid. I still think genuinely good project. Might, I don't know. I've been debating. I don't know why. Should I switch to a different exchange? Nothing against this one specifically. BingX is fine. I tried looking at Bybit. I don't know if I should disclose this for legal reasons, but I'll disclose it nonetheless because nobody watches these anyway. I tried getting access into Bybit, which is restricted in Canada, but I'm also an Ecuadorian citizen. It's not restricted in Ecuador. Use a VPN to change location. It's in Europe, so my VPN is European, my IP. And, you know, it was all good. It asked for the KYC information because it's a centralized exchange. I did all that. I sent my identity and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me trade now. Nope. You got to send us proof of your address. Send us, I don't know, a bank document, a government issued letter, or, you know, a valid photo ID, whatever that includes your address in the mail. It could, you know, anything like utility bills, rent, things like that. If you have that information, you have to submit that to prove that you reside in that country. And I mean, I do have an address there, but I came to the realization that I don't have a bank account. I don't have anything to my name. I'm just a citizen. And I mean, nobody sends mail there anyway. We live in farms, right? So it's like, that's racist. I don't want to do that. And I just got stuck on that step and I can't continue from there. So rip, they have my face and my ID and I can't trade crypto. So that's awesome. Rip Bybit. Probably not going to use them. That's fine. We don't need them. BingX didn't ask for that much information. It's just simply like the same first step that I told you guys, right? It's just the photo ID and me being here, my face. So yeah. I've been also trying to get into Hyperliquid, but same deal, like it's restricted in Canada. Everything is restricted in Canada, man. This country's bad. But you know, simple VPN fixes it. And it's a decentralized exchange, or at least it tries to be. So in that sense, I did find a workaround, but you have to connect your wallet and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And to be honest, the UI, I'm not a fan. Hate to say it. And the amount of leverage, the amount of tokens that they provide, I don't think it's as much. I haven't done too much research into it. I could be wrong. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will do more research into Hyperliquid. I have gone on it before. I've created an account and everything, but I just haven't done much with it. So that's all up in the air. Maybe I will. We'll see. Solana is at 0% movement, 186. In my opinion, a great time to be entering into Solana. Genuinely great project. Still got a lot going on for it, especially after that Western Union partnership. Very good stuff. Very undervalued in my opinion. And when meme season hits, it's going to happen on Solana. It's not going to happen on BNB. It's not going to happen on Tron, not on Ethereum. It's going to be Solana. So yeah, my bet is on Solana for sure. I do still genuinely like it. I did not mean to move that. All right. My entry price is very close to it, so that's why I'm personally not entering more, but I do have a good amount in here. I think. Where are we? Yeah, that's decent. If we do continue dropping, I have a trigger order at 172. That's where I would expect a drop towards. I don't expect it to drop there actually, but like if we do drop, like that's the level that I'll be entering into. Plasma still down. We're hovering around my entry price, which hopefully means that I did time the bottom. If we do rise, the rise is going to be decent. It'll give us a good return. I push my mic away. It's going to give us a good return of maybe 16%, and I'm on 3x leverage. So what 16 times 3, 40 something, high 40s, maybe even 50% if we do touch the resistance at 35. That's what I'm currently seeing as a resistance, at least. It could be wrong. Depends. We would need new pivot levels I'm looking at, like, these are historical lows, by the way, so I'm gonna need that. And it's like, okay, where do we find our resistances? Well, you could draw Fibonacci, or you could just look at historical supports that would become resistances in the future, right? So, I mean, I could draw a fib from here to our local bottom. Love how solid that line looks. In this instance, you're looking at 35, 34.80. Yeah, you could basically say 35, right? I'm going with 35. If it rises to 35, I'll probably be selling there, and we should be close to overbought, if not already by then. Yeah, I think that's reasonable on plasma. It can happen. So like I said, it's a very short-term trade. We'll see how it goes. All right. Sui, up 2% today. 237. I'm finally in the green, very slightly. $3. We're basically at my entry price, 237. I really wish I did buy at 220 though. I wasn't paying attention, didn't get an order in on here on time. Super trend is on the way down, so it's no longer 270 our resistance. That should be dropping a little lower, maybe to 255. Maybe, just maybe. We will need new pivot levels, like I said, so this is just a transitory day, to be honest. Kind of reevaluate what our positions are looking like, and yeah. Chainlink surges past $17 as Stellar integration boosts adoption. Stellar, like Stellar XLM, Lumen. Let me confirm this. Where is Chainlink? Genuinely good project, by the way. Stellar integration. Yeah, it is XLM. Stellar Lumen. They announced it will integrate Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol data feeds and data streams, which enables Stellar developers to build tokenized assets and DeFi apps using Chainlink's infrastructure. So there you go, new partnership announced from them. Stellar reported 5.48 quarterly real-world asset transaction volume, signaling growing demand for Chainlink services. Institutional adoption. Good. Did Stellar move up at all? No. I did buy into Stellar, not Interstellar. We're at 30 cents right now. I bought at 29.98 one. It's not too bad, but could have had a better entry at the support level. I don't know why I didn't buy there. I think I bought this at the actual market price as it was crashing. I'm like, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to buy. I probably should have put the trigger order. Could have been an easy snipe. I just wasn't paying attention once again. I'm lacking. I mean, when everything is dropping, though, it's like, okay, what do I buy? What do I buy? Everything seems cheap. I'm just going to buy market, buy market. I'm too lazy to be analyzing levels because I haven't been looking at these coins for a while, right? But nonetheless, in the long term, you can't go wrong. If you're just buying when it's oversold, likely to bounce regardless. And hey, that's kind of what we're seeing already. So there you go. Resistance on Stellar at 33. Man, those prices. What was I waiting for? Like a rise to 40, I think. Where was the big liquidation here? I was hoping for 49, right? Which would have been all the way up here. Which we have hit before, almost 50, right? But no. We did the liquidation event, dropped to 16 cents. And, well, here we are again at 30. But like I said, we ignore what happened on what is that day? October 10. Don't care about it anymore. Aptos bought pretty decently. I could have bought this dip over here, but whatever. Could have sniped the trade once again. I missed a couple of snipes. Been too busy working or something. I don't know. 328 is the price of Aptos. 319 is my entry. Resistance at 340. There you go. Super trend is on its way down. We'll see where it invalidates to. Like I said, we need this to stabilize, so it's going to take some time. Very transitory day. Not much going on. I'll just have a quick peek at World Liberty Finance. It's on the rise a little bit. Still have my trigger order over here in case we do drop to 12 cents. I don't think we will, but we'll see. I really got to get out of this as soon as possible. Next time I see overbought, even if it's like very close to my entry price, as long as I do cover for fees, which is $10, I'm out of there. I think. We'll see. All right. That is all for my technical analysis. I did spend a bit of time on it, but we don't have too much news to cover, so the news section should not be too long. Let's get started. So, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Can I get rid of this? No. He's meeting with Singapore Prime Minister to increase adoption of crypto and stablecoins. There you go. Even governments are getting involved, so come on. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also said that the United States and China are expected to sign a trade agreement within the next week, which means, why would they put tariffs tomorrow? It doesn't seem likely to happen, in my opinion, so it's probably not going to happen, right? So that'll be good. Why are we not pumping on the news? We were dropping because these tariffs were going to go into effect, and now that they're not, we're not back to where we started. So it's like, what is really going on? I feel like we are undervalued. Very sold off. For the second time in history, the US government has officially been shut down for over 30 days. In 6 days, 2025 will mark the longest shutdown in US history because the current record holder was from 2018. Same administration. It was under Trump where the shutdown happened. I don't remember it at that time. I don't know. I was too busy worrying about functions and relations or something. Yeah, so didn't really care back then. But now I do care a lot. The U.S. government has officially crossed 30 days. Our traders forecast it to last a record 44 days. That's what people are expecting. 44 days of a shutdown. Hey, that would take us to mid-November. And maybe then can we finally moon? I mean, this government shutdown has just been plaguing the waters for such a long time. Is that the right term to say? Clouding the water. In terms of, you know, getting all these ETFs approved, that would have been a great catalyst without this shutdown. Yeah, the shutdown helped guarantee the rate cut for this month, but I think that was already like to be expected with or without the government shutdown that we would get the rate cut this month. Now that we did get the rate cut, of course, what matters the most is Powell's comments, and Powell's comments were not friendly, so that's why people are still a little fearful. But I would tell you guys, do not be fearful. Because December is practically guaranteed, in my opinion. What's the real reason for us not to rise? Like, not to get the rate cuts, right? It's pretty obvious. Trump standing up for Christians here. He says Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. But that is the least of it. When Christians or any such group is slaughtered like it is happening in Nigeria, 3,100 versus 4,476 worldwide, that is a lot. Something must be done. I am asking Congressman Riley Moore, together with Chairman Tom Cole and the House Appropriations Committee, to immediately look into this matter and report back to me. The United States cannot stand by while such atrocities are happening in Nigeria and numerous other countries. We stand ready, willing, and able to save our great Christian population around the world. Thanks, Trump. We'll see what's next. And for whatever reason, at this time, officials are warning and urging United States citizens not to travel to Niger. But we're talking about Nigeria. What? Okay. So which is it? But anyway. We have a Canada update with China. President Xi Jinping met with Mark Carney today at the APEC summit. This was, of course, after Trump's meeting. Not Trump and Canada. That never happened and probably won't. But the Trump meeting between Xi Jinping, that already happened. Now it's Mark Carney's turn from Canada, saying that it marks a turning point in the bilateral relationship between Canada and China. I think that's just, you know, sparkly words. I don't really know if much was done here. He says, we are committed to renewing the relationship in a pragmatic and constructive way. We each directed our officials to move quickly to resolve outstanding trade issues and irritants, and we look forward to making progress on these issues as we strengthen ties between our two countries. All right, we'll see. Trump's take on all this. He says that he won't resume trade talks with Canada, even after Prime Minister Mark Carney. Apparently, he finally apologized for the Ronald Reagan ad. He's the one that approved it, by the way. So he's like, hey, sorry, we didn't really mean it. Trump said that he apologized for what they did with the commercial because it was a false commercial. It was the exact opposite. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. If you're unaware of what happened, the Ontario government released an ad during, I think it was one of the baseball games, about Trump's tariffs, using Ronald Reagan, former president of the United States, his speech on tariffs. They modified the audio. They like edited clips, trimmed it around, moved it, cut, paste to kind of make it seem like Ronald Reagan was opposing tariffs, right? But Trump, I mean, if you look at the full clip itself, he was in favor of tariffs, at least according to Trump. I didn't really watch the full thing myself, and I'm not going through all that. But yeah, that caused some outrage on Trump, and he actually added a 10% tariff on Canada for doing that, for slandering, I guess. And he's still mad about it. He's not going to be doing any trade talks with Canada anytime soon. So that's awesome. Great. Country sucks. All right. So recap of October. Uptober, the best month where everything is supposed to go up. But no, it didn't. Crypto market cap actually lost $245 billion in the month of October. That's some real good losses. Just for comparison, and going back to the CS2 market, remember when the knives update came out where you could trade any normal skin for knives? I'm nerding out over here, but they lost, what was it, $3 billion out of a, what was the market cap for Counter-Strike? Whatever. I'm just relating those two to say, hey, crypto suffers a much larger market cap loss, right? Of course, they're a bigger market. On the other hand, the US stock market, which is even bigger, have added nearly $1.6 trillion in the month of October. So Pumptober did happen, but in stocks, or Uptober, whatever you want to call it, except for Meta, because they're down because of earnings, but that's pretty funny. I got into Meta as well because from this dip, so Meta's good. Bitcoin, yeah, we're set to close October in the red. It looks like about a 3% red. Last time a 3% red happened, November dropped 36%. Should we be worried? Last time we saw this happen, November saw massive volatility. I think it's going to be volatility, but toward the upside. Right? What year did that happen? Let me go back. This was in 2018. Yeah, that's a bear market period. Come on. That's not going to happen again. I think this is just a small blip in the bull run. We'll be back at it, in my opinion. Here's a good sign. You guys remember that insider Bitcoin whale that was shorting during Trump's tariff announcement? He has fully closed his Bitcoin shorts. So he's no longer shorting the market, whoever this insider is. Looking at you, Baron Trump. So what does this mean? He probably expects that there will be a trade deal with the US and China and that the markets will be rising, right? Even, I didn't notice this, even Bing X said, let's go Baron. Yeah, cool. I think we all know it's Baron Trump. Come on, who else could it be, right? This guy's just mysteriously making millions of dollars at 19 years of age. The son of the president. Like, come on, he knows. He probably is behind the Trump meme coin, and he'll take his dad's phone and tweet out, I love Trump meme coin, and he'll just self-pump. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Marathon Digital, Bitcoin mining company, by the way, they acquired Exion, an EDF subsidiary, in a deal that bars EDF from using its computing power for AI or BTC mining. I have no idea what an EDF is, but cool. Canary Capital ETF now holds over $235 million worth, sorry, $45 million worth of Hedera, which is 235 million tokens. That's a total of 0.5% of all Hedera's supply in 3 days, this ETF. So that means there is institutional appetite for Hedera. We do have the Hedera ETF out now, right? So it's good to see this. Says that this is the CEO saying that Hedera is the leading technology utilized by the enterprise. I don't know about that one, but we'll see. Nigerians, once again, talking about this country. Uh, this is crypto related, though. It has nothing to do with massacring Christians. Nigerians can now access RWA real world assets directly on blockchain.com, powered by Ondo Finance. This is an ETF that I'm more excited for than Hedera, but whatever. Zcash, it has to be mentioned. They've been performing very well. They surged 375% in October to become the top privacy token amid rising surveillance fears. Fair enough. And like, yeah, I will admit it has been performing very well. Here's the other privacy coins as well, like that I don't really talk much about because they're not even listed on the exchanges because they're just so private. Centralized exchanges, they're like I don't know, the government regulations, they don't want any of these to be listed on the exchanges so that you cannot acquire them because they don't like the fact that you're being, private and decentralized, truly decentralized. So that should speak loud words, right? Zcash, Monero, Dash, Origin Trail, Beldex, Xano, Alio. I haven't heard of the bottom 4, but yeah, Zcash, Monero, Dash, I have heard of those. There you go. Cool. I don't know how to acquire them, to be honest. Maybe on a DeFi swap, but I don't really do that stuff. I'd rather just... I'm more of a centralized exchange kind of guy. I want the government to know everything about me. So there you go. That's me. It's funny. This is a 1-year return on Inverse Kramer versus Nancy Pelosi. I'm going to say that Nancy Pelosi has been lacking this year. We haven't seen any substantial trades. I mean, fair enough. She's made her millions. It was a big thing last year. She had all that insider information, and I mean, she well profited off of all of that. That being said, she hasn't done much trades this year from what I'm aware of. Like, the last big one that she did was Tempest AI, and that's already mooned by now. I haven't really seen much else from Nancy Pelosi. So, even so, like, she has a 46% return year to date, or in 1 year. And, of course, nothing beats Inverse Kramer. Jim Cramer, of course, anything that he talks about, he says, this is a good asset, buy it. And then it just does the opposite. That's why Inverse Kramer, it's a real thing. It's even outperforming an insider trader, Nancy Pelosi. Which is just funny. Like, that should... Come on. How are you that bad? But anyway. Elon Musk. I think this is the episode from today on Joe Rogan, is what it seems like. He says that Tesla may launch a flying car in the future. Cool. Big if true. True if big. I'm going to confirm Joe Rogan. Yeah, Elon Musk. It was posted 10 hours ago. So yeah, this episode was very recent from today. Might watch it later. I don't know. This is like, I don't watch Joe Rogan like very frequently at all, unless he has like an actual good guest. Like if he has JD Vance or Trump or Elon, I'll probably watch it. The last one I watched, I don't even know. I don't even know which one is the last one I watched. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Who cares? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that is all the news that I had for today. I know not a lot happening. This is all really just transitory. Super trends for most tokens are on their way down. We're waiting for new pivot levels. We're expecting Saturday to be a nothing day. So just be patient, I guess, for the rest of this weekend. If there's anything important that comes out, I will be covering that live. So make sure you are subscribed for that. We're pretty close to 500, so let's keep that up. And yeah, that'll be all for tonight then. I'm tired. I really want to go to sleep. So, yep. Thanks guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your evening.